What's up, everyone? My name is Chris from Vo-Gus Prospecting, and this is the patron channel series where I answer patrons from Vo-Gus Prospecting about all things to do with either gold prospecting and treasure hunting, sometimes mental health, and in this case, we're going to be talking about something that's very close to my heart right at this very moment. Grant Rothwell wrote me a question that says, G'day Chris, I want to pick your brain in a few weeks for an accessible place on a creek somewhere after sustaining a pretty significant leg injury that would pose not too much risk of re-injury. Now let me explain why I am having to do this exact same thing at the moment. You may or may not have heard about how I have contracted Ross River virus. 6 weeks ago, I caught a mosquito-borne virus that causes debilitating pain and massive amounts of fatigue, to the point where I can't even use a regular sized pan anymore because it hurts my joints so much that I can't hold it and I can't even tap the gold up the top. And this means that I'm having to reevaluate how I work. You see, the thing is this. When you sustain a injury or an illness that takes you away from your standard level of health, there is going to be an adjustment period. And you have to figure out what your tolerances are. In my case, I am having to combat primarily fatigue and then the pain. The pain isn't so bad that it's absolutely crippling me, but it's definitely noticeable and it is quite irritating and it wears on your energy levels and it wears on your psyche. It's hard to do things of a hard physical nature without kind of getting grumpy. But without shadow of a doubt, the worst part is the fatigue. I've had to figure out where my limit is. So, how much can I do during the day before I am so toast that I'm going to have to go home and sleep and I won't get anything else done? That was the first part. Like, how far can I actually push? And I found that I can actually work through this to a really far extent. But it will cost me. It will cost me dearly to do that. So I had to back off, and I had to back off to the point where I could figure out how much I could do, what tools I could use, where I could still drive home and accomplish some of the things you got to do at home, like housework and whatnot. Because otherwise the fatigue would take me and I'd lose out on that. Now, in your case, Grant, it's a bit trickier because you're dealing with an injury that you don't want to re-injure. The last thing you want to do is push a limit too far and end up in a position where you're going to be either permanently damaged from that situation or you're going to have an extended recovery time. I mean, I suppose the same thing goes in my situation, but in yours, it's a lot more tangible because there's like a very clear injury that is going to be aggravated. Now, for me, I've had to find new ways of accessing the areas that I want to access. So when you say an accessible creek, the thing that I can't give you an exact spot. It's not possible for me to give you an exact spot. I am not in your body. I don't know what your actual limitations are and what might be accessible, what I might consider accessible for me may not be accessible for you at all. Instead, what I want to do is try to give you the same sort of advice that I've used for my own situation. And that is about testing and thinking outside the box. Sure, you could go to a creek like Reedy Creek, and there are campsites that you can literally pull up to on Reedy Creek, hop out of the car, and be in the creek within 3 meters. Not an issue at all. There are plenty of places like that. But perhaps even that might be a bit beyond your capabilities if you're dealing with a leg injury where you're not able to take impact for stepping down into the creek, or if you slip and make a mistake. That is going to be extremely detrimental to your health. The same thing went for me is I'm not going to go on a big long 5 kilometer hike like I used to get into some of my spots. I'm going to start going to the places I can park within a few 100 meters of and work there until I'm feeling a bit better. And that's just the thing. It's not always where you think it is. And this leads me to a prospecting tip. Get out of the creeks. Get out of the creeks. You don't need to be in the creeks to find gold. Instead, use your injury, your downtime, as an opportunity to experiment and explore. Because when you're in good health and you're able to do the really hard things, often you'll go. You'll grab the high banker and you'll go to the creek and you'll settle up and you'll dig like a madman for a day, and then you'll get a little bit of gold and you'll be like, yeah, sweet. But you forego all the stuff in between. What's between your car and the creek? What's between there? The creeks move, we know that. There's upper bench deposits that will never work by old timers. There's loaming pits, like I've been showing in some of my recent videos, that have gold nuggets literally sitting on the surface because they were dug up from 10 or 20 meters underground and thrown up. But you don't check them because you're well and you're capable of doing hard work. But now you're slowed down a little bit. So this is your opportunity to use your eyes and your brain to see where else there could be gold hiding. The best thing about this situation for you, whilst injuries suck, illnesses suck, and it is very hard, is that you can still participate in your hobby. It's something that I've had to come to terms with. I don't have the capacity right now to do the things that I really want to do. Like, I want to set up my brand new high banker that I've got and dig like a madman, but I can't because I know it will cost me dearly if I do. So instead, I am taking that moment to pause and recover and also expand my ground. Where have I missed things? I'm walking in fields that are pretty much level with no workings around them, looking for things like river gravel. And you know what I'm finding? I'm finding gold because I'm in the right areas. So around the northeast of Victoria, around Beechworth, around Myrtleford, around Bright, around Wodonga even, around Yakandanda. There are so many places you can check for gold, and it's 90% not in the creeks. Some of the best places we've ever found in the creek, the gold isn't originating from the stream at all. It's literally shedding out of the bank next to us. In fact, there's a video I put up recently showing just that. I will link that in the description below. It's a 2-minute long video. Go and watch it because it will show you the sort of thing that you can look out for away from water. So whilst I don't have a spot specifically for you, and I do apologize for that because I would love to be able to offer people areas to go panning, truth is I don't know where it is. We find these spots by taking our pans out and looking. And I tend to find my best spots when I take a pause, take a break on the creek and look around. And often I don't do that because of how much energy I have and how enthusiastic I am about the thing that I'm doing. Now that I'm moving a little bit slower, and now that you're moving a little bit slower, I think that it's quite possible that you'll find some really good spots if you have that look around and work within your capabilities, because it's going to be in places that most people would never think to check for gold. And even if you don't find any, you're still out there participating in the hobby that you love. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, if you find nothing, but you went out there and you had a red hot crack at being that prospector, that first time explorer to look over new ground, that, my friend, is what it's all about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you've got a question, if you're a patron, there is a pinned post on the Patreon website on the Vo-Gus prospecting page that you can leave your question, and I will make one of these videos for you to try and share the knowledge, share the experience of this fantastic hobby that we call prospecting. All right, guys, I'm going to hit that stop button. Peace. I'm out. Bye.